Hey everybody, Justin Worden, you're watching What's New in Electronics. We are here on the floor of IPC APEX 2025 in Anaheim, California. We have another panel. We're doing things a little differently. We got experts from the industry sitting here. We're going to put them on the hot seat. We're going to make up a bunch of questions. We're going to pretend it's not scripted, and we're going to knock this out of the park. You guys ready?
Ready.
All right, so first question, let's get into it. Robots and automation. I mean, it is changing the way manufacturing is doing business. What is one area where you are truly seeing robotics change the manufacturing process?
Hi, Rick Schiffer with Apollo Seiko. In our industry, we mainly focus on soldering only. So we're finding microelectronics and things that are really, really small in laser soldering is the main crux in our industry. What we're seeing where robots and automation are helping in that case.
How you doing? Mike McHale, I'm the founder of PSA Systems. The biggest change we're seeing in the industry is AI-driven vision systems for robotics, random pick and place, and just inspection of any type of general products.
Ivan Romo from Smartsol Technologies. The big change and big utilization of the current robotic situations are based on vision system together with pick and place, and also with the combination of AI.
Now, robotics and automation is great. You know, right now this whole world is about getting things done faster, more efficiently, more specific with less error, and that's where robots and automation comes in. However, it is still very new to a lot of manufacturers. So when you're going in and offering a solution of providing robotic automation or anything along that sort, how are you helping them implement and integrate that and overcome the challenges of adding such a new process? Ivan, do you want to start?
Yes, with the Smartsol, sometimes we work directly with the customer to do the implementations in the easiest way, doing the process and materials flows, and what are the customer expectations to do all the mapping, and then work hand by hand on the delivery of the project. But there are another situations when we work with the system integrators. We are only providing the hardware and the training for them, and the system integrators is being doing the deployment into the manufacturing floors.
I think the way we start with a customer is we'll do an automation assessment of their whole factory, list all of the potential automatable items. Then we'll work through with that management team ROIs for each of the projects. And the one thing that we try to make, we talked with our customers, is we don't want to pick the hardest opportunity for automation first. That's always a mistake. We always try to start with some of the easier to higher payback and the bigger impact to the operation. We need to have successful projects right from the beginning. We don't want to roll out some very complex system that fails. We want to have success from day one and then work our way up to the hardest items.
Yeah, unfortunately, many customers don't give you the easy ones first. They give you the most difficult challenges, especially for soldering, and I'm sure you see the same thing. But we're similar to Smartsol. We'll do hand-holding from the installation training and programming support, and we also sell a lot of equipment through integration companies, so we work with the integrators to train their guys how to program and use our equipment and support it.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, that's the biggest challenge, right? I mean, they got this nice, fancy, new machine, but they don't know how to use it. And I think it's important that we start spending more time as an industry on helping to improve the training, the service side of it, specifically with the amount of turnover that these companies are having. I mean, how many times you go into a project and the person you trained isn't there by the time you install the project or the actual product?
We have a major problem with turnover. So we'll start a project, then we'll deploy, and we'll train shift operators. And 2 weeks later, all of a sudden we're having all kinds of problems with those systems. We go back and realize that no one we trained is actually still with the company, or they moved on to other jobs. And it's a major issue, so we are rolling some AI and some VR training into our systems to help that continual process of education.
Anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. We find out a lot in Mexico, and I'm sure Smartsol's main focus there, that turnover is all the time. You know, they go across the street for an extra few pesos per hour. Very difficult to keep people and to train them. So retraining is always quite frequently needed. We're doing a lot of remote things with teams in that lately. Ever since COVID, that's the best thing. Best thing from COVID was good remote support like that. So we've been doing that.
Yes, we need to help the customers to define the process in a certain way that regardless who is operating the process will continue giving good results. And there are different types of robotics and automation, from Cartesians to cobots to industrial ones. So every kind of robot has a different process implementation and different lead time to be up and running. If we're talking about a Cartesian process, maybe the lead time is going to be 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the configuration. But using cobots, sometimes you can have a brand new process into your manufacturing flow within 1 hour or less.
Wow.
Having the AI functions, having the embedded vision systems, and of course having good support from the supplier.
Well, I want to share that you specified Mexico, but I live in Austin, Texas, and the turnover there is just as bad. I mean, you put a new Tesla Gigafactory and everyone goes there for 25 cents more an hour, and then they leave after a year. But anyways, I also was setting a timer. We made it almost 5 minutes before we mentioned AI. So that's a new record for our panel. So congratulations, guys. So we're going to start here with PSA. We're going to come to you, and then we'll end with Ivan on the next question. I want to talk about emerging markets. You know, you guys also kind of have your expertise in your individual vertical, but geographically around the world and also within verticals, are you seeing different markets emerging more on the robotics and automation than others?
You know, we're seeing just growth all over all markets, but we're actually seeing the automation kind of work into the smaller companies, where a 25, 50 person company now has an opportunity for large scale robotic systems, you know, $4 to $10 million projects. They're seeing a value in additional throughput. So for us, our market segment is actually going to smaller companies, which is something 3, 4, 5 years ago that wasn't the case. You know, the new systems that we're seeing, you know, the AI visions, and I had to say AI again, are helping those customers. We can now do some product integrations that we weren't able to do before. And the operation of the cells are becoming a little more seamless for a lower skill set manufacturing facility.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with the smaller companies requiring automation, and our business is soldering, and no people want to do hand soldering anymore. It's hard to find an operator to do hand soldering, especially in the US side. Average age is over 65 of a hand soldering operator. So in that case, smaller companies, but we're also finding medical companies for soldering anyway are leaning more towards robotics and automation.
We see the need for the automation everywhere. Because as you mentioned, in Austin it's very hard or very big the turnover, but it's also hard to fulfill the open positions. Mm-hmm. So the automation can help to not be 100% dependent of the people. And in some markets in Mexico, I mean, electronics is the main market for us. We're also in the metal mechanics, doing machine tending, doing materials movements in the production floor. We are working with tequila distilleries, doing the boxing of the bottles and palletizing, and we are working in some credit card manufacturers also in Mexico that they are doing fully automated the process to do the programming of the cards, the manufacturing by itself. So you can find the current trend to automate in any type of industry.
I'm going to come right back to you to start with the next question because I want the perspective of Mexico. Looking forward, we've seen, well, let's go back first. We've seen so much change in the robotics and automation. You mentioned over the last 5 years how it's gone from the large companies to the smaller companies. What are you seeing 5 years from now? What does this landscape look like?
Well, you know,
you're the expert, so you can say it's okay. Come on.
In the crystal ball, there is a lot of fog, so it's not easy to see what is going to happen. But AI will drive a lot of the manufacturing process, and of course, the people needs to be more prepared to manage, to control the robotics, and to manage the data. All this automation is providing more data to the human, and the human needs to monitor how the AI is taking the decisions in order to do a higher level of automation. So it looks like in the near future, we need to run with more math models, more process improvements, and of course, we are going to become supervisor of the artificial intelligence.
Wow. Well said.
Yeah, and you know, I'll expand a little bit on Ivan, what I see in general industry. We're going to be producing a lot of data. The data analytics of handling that data will become very crucial. So what that'll help us do is be able to look up the line to see where our impacts are, and down the line, what's actually holding up the automation. That's something that we lack in our systems. We typically build systems that are very, very one operation, but then we don't have purview below that operation or above that operation, which then changes throughput. We'll now be able to look up the line and down the line to know where impacts in the production is, and then we'll be able to better improve the efficiency of the system. Handling the data is what I see in the next 5 years will impact throughput.
Yeah, in the soldering industry, AI hasn't really hit home yet, but we're seeing a lot more data traceability is quite important, especially in the automotive market. So we're trying to make strides in that to be able to provide them the data they need to trace back when a customer brings a car back for some issue or whatever, if it's related to our product or not.
You know, one thing that I'm hearing you guys say, and it's actually it's very good to hear, when we talk about AI, robotics, automation, I believe there's a misconception out there that it's replacing jobs or getting rid of jobs. And I'm actually going to reference or paraphrase something that Elon Musk said and on an interview, probably was Joe Rogan or something. But what he said was essentially, all of this AI, all of this automation is not replacing jobs. It's creating a new type of job. And I think that's what you were talking about with managing all of the data. A few other panels we had today, AI was a topic about predictive maintenance, right? And the question I always ask is, I love data. Data is very resourceful, but are people really doing anything with all this data yet? Or are they just collecting it for the time being? Do you have any input on that, anyone?
I'll tell you from our standpoint, because our systems, we attach to Amazon Cloud, we pull data from orders and process data in our system. We don't really, no one's really using a lot of that data. The data in, data out, very simplistic. We're not diving deep. That will advance. And as far as the job creation versus destruction, you're going to be adding much more higher tech jobs, and typically the jobs that we're replacing are the jobs that are high turnover, that are hard to fill anyways, right? So how much automation is out there for jobs that no one wants to do before you actually get into the jobs that people that want to do, and typically they're of a higher skill set that the automation will be much harder to implement. So I think it's a net positive for throughput and inflation, and also for employment over time.
Wow, great input.
Well, I just came from a demonstration of a data management system, and one of my customers from Tijuana side, operations manager, was explaining to his corporate guys what information is he getting from the system and what are the decisions that he's taking based on that data. So I was very pleased to see how my customers are currently using the data collected by the automatic systems. So of course there are many people that they doesn't know even what information they can get from their current systems, but all the guys has that information, and just we need to train them how to use that information. But the information is already there. Just we need to help them how to organize and how to take decisions based on that.
I mean, the larger customers have all the data collection services, and I mainly, again, focus on automotive, so they just require us to provide that data, and we do it, and it's ample for what they need it for. We also provide video of the soldering process, which they can go right back to per solder joint and see what the cause was, what was the issue with that. So
I think what I'm taking away from this is going back, and it's the onboarding, it's the training, it's helping them know what is available, right? If you don't tell them what it's used for, which is why you guys are probably sitting up here on this panel with me, because you follow these steps when you first talk with the customer as opposed to after. So as we wrap up for the last question, you guys are up here, you're experts, or at least pretending to be experts for the cameras, but in all seriousness, if someone is looking to get into or explore adding robotics or automation to their facility, we'll start here and we'll work our way down. What is like one piece of advice you would give them right off the bat, other than to call you?
I guess in our case for the soldering business is the need for precision and consistency, which you can't get from a hand soldering person. That's the main reason they want to start to bring a robot in.
I think we go back to, if you want to get into automation, you look for a company that you like to deal with, or somebody you feel comfortable with, and you do an automation assessment. And a good automation company is going to look at that assessment and kind of help you pinpoint which projects to look at. But a good automation company is also going to tell you, this is not our skill set, call this group. We work with a lot of integrators that have skill sets in if it's welding or if it's in soldering. Like you have to find your skill set. We are not experts in every automation project. And if any customer or if any integrator tells you we can do everything, well then that's probably not an integration company that I wouldn't hire.
Yes, something similar. Please don't focus in a single operation automation. Please avoid to use operators to move the materials to the robot. We need to analyze the material flow first and then take the decision how to automate that. But if you don't automate the material movement, then it doesn't make sense to use a robot.
Well, gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank you for coming and putting yourself on the hot seat and allowing me to just throw some softballs up for you. Some of those might have been tough questions, though. I'll give myself some credit. But before we sign off, why don't you just say your name, the company you're with, and maybe a website.
Yes, it's Ivan Romo from Smartsol Technologies. It's www.smartsol.mx.
Mike McHale, PSA Systems, PSASystems.com.
Rick Schiffer, Apollo Seiko, www.apolloseiko.com.
Gentlemen, thank you again, and thank you for watching What's New in Electronics.